Hey yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk, guys. Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate your support of the channel. If you're looking for other ways to do so, you can find those down in the description. Today we have Captain Clink from Clan Devon. This must have been before he was Colonel. Captain Major, yeah, is that the same thing in the German army? I don't know, but a younger Clink, perhaps before the monocle. I'm assuming that's where that's from. He's in his KV-1. Heavy tank, Russian bottom tier. Tier 5 and a Tier 7, 6, and 5 battle on Erlenberg. Spawned in the south on the assault. On the assault. This is going to be a video we're going to talk to new players. Or players at the bottom edge of the stats, down in the 40s, right? Down in the high 40s, mid 40s, that kind of thing. Or brand new. Just someone looking for help. I'm going to give the standard caveat that I give for all these videos. And that is, I don't know people's personal situation. There's a lot of reasons. Starting from they just play for fun and don't really care. Although rarely do those kind of people send me in a video for some help, like Captain Clink did. And it goes on from there. I won't get any... There's no reason to speculate because everyone's situation is so amazingly different. However, that being said, when I give advice in my videos, I try to back it up with what you could do. And depending on what your current level is, you can always get better. Your ceiling may not be very high, or maybe it's really high. Doesn't matter. The point is, when you take a look at one of these replays and look at how you did, you can take away some lessons from it and try to improve your personal situation. And that's all I'm trying to do here. So that being said, strap in, Captain. We're gonna get a little critical of some things along the way here, but I think you know that since you watch my channel and you've asked me for some help. Like I said, though, I will try to provide my opinion on some things you can do to improve whatever the situation is that I'm critiquing. So let me just throw that out. For everybody else, keep the comments civil down below. I've never really had an issue with that. Only on occasion does it start to get that way. But I just want to throw that out. It's been a while since I've talked about it. And when we talk about trying to help new players or players who are attempting to get better at this game, who don't have great stats or aren't doing really well, it's important to keep that in mind, right? Keep it civil. That doesn't mean we can't be critical. That does not mean we can't be critical. All right, so I let this go for a while I gave that little caveat. Bottom tier heavies, Captain Clink, are probably the hardest to play in the tiering system as far as being bottom tier. They're the hardest tank to be bottom tier in. Because the heavies kind of needs to be up front. The guns tend to be a little derpier. They're the guys with the armor. I'm going to say they're kind of expected to be up front. They don't have to be necessarily. Excuse me. Depending on the map, the situation, the mode, all the things that go into it. The enemy tanks, your tanks. But as a general rule, I think we can all agree that a heavy tank is going to be somewhere up front or in the heavy brawling area. And when you're bottom tier heavy, that can be a bit tricky. That may change your mind on where you want to go. But in Erlenberg, I think you're making the exact right decision, and you pretty quickly went straight for what I think is the position you want for a heavy. Let's talk about this map just a little bit specifically, things to watch out for, and then we'll look at kind of the first event that happens. Look out for, on this map, from the north spawn, guys getting up in the castle right here and being able to shoot you in the side from up here. Right? They'll come up, they'll peek over, they're looking for you to cross this open area. Watch for your team investing into the castle and maybe getting you lights on them, or at least keeping them honest. So those are two things to watch while you move in this direction. Don't worry over much about what's going on the east right now. There's not a lot they can do to you on this side, but just keep an eye on it. Take a look at your team's deployment. When I looked at this, I said, well, I would expect the KV-122 to do exactly what he's doing right there. I would have maybe expected potentially the EZ-8, maybe not maybe the Cavalier of Valiant, potentially the 3002 possibly to come with you, and you've got some of these guys sort of following up, but it's unknown exactly where they're going. It looks like a couple of them at least are headed over towards the castle. There are 3 artillery, 1, 2, 3, that's correct. On each side, that is going to be a factor. You can be hit up here by artillery, so you do need to keep that in mind and stay cognizant of that. And then there's a good number of TDs on both sides who will be camping in all the various TD spots. That being said, I don't think any of that information stops me from, on my team anyway, from going where you're going. I look at the enemy team, a King Tiger, that's problematic. That's a much better tank than the KV-122. I would not like to see him here in the middle. Some people might take that as a reason to avoid going there. But based on how slow the KV-1 is, it's a heavy bottom tier. I don't see any other really viable option for you. Potentially, you could go over towards the castle and attempt to help them over there. That is a possibility. But I like that you're going to where I believe is the most important spot for you to be on this map, at least right now, which is right here in the middle, fighting in these buildings. When I say right now, what I mean by that is you can't just play the map. You take your best guess at the beginning, go to the spot you think you're needed or can do the best that you can do, and then you have to react to it. The problem is, going back to bottom tier heavies being one of the hardest to play in the tiering system, this tank has not a great capability of flexing to either side, and the map doesn't help either because there's a lot of open terrain between the two sides. Really, once you invest here in the middle, you're sticking in the middle. You may cross the river, you may come to the edge of the buildings and shoot to the west. There's possibilities there, potentially shoot up into the castle, but as far as flexing all over the map or getting somewhere else, you're a little bit limited. That being said, later on in the match, we'll talk about what you did. All right, let's get going. So I like what you're doing. You're headed towards that spot. Technique number one I'm going to give you. Prioritize where you think the threat's going to come from and point your gun that direction as much as possible. When I start to play and I get into hour 2 or 3, that stuff starts to fall off my cross-check, and I'll do something like this. I'll just be looking here, talking, or daydreaming. But if you were doing exactly what you need to be doing here, you'd be pointing this way towards that castle area because you know where they're going to appear is right here first. That's the most likely spot for you to see somebody is here or potentially out in this flat right here, and you may have a shot right there. I would not intend on stopping up here at all until I got up in towards the cover of these buildings, because you can get 2 or 3 of them on this ridge and they're going to punish you hard. All right, so let's see how this goes. We're just sort of looking over here. And, oh, look, there's somebody. So we'll just stop and, oh, geez, he just hit us. And we'll stop and we'll move. All right, the other problem with sitting there is artillery. Any artillery who went over in this area up into the northwest is probably looking here for exactly what you just did. And this is a relatively low tier game. But in a higher tier game, you probably would have eaten an arty or 2 right off the bat right there. Even one sitting back here should have a shot on you sitting out in this open spot right here. So only one guy shows up, and we've already given away 113 hit points. Looks like he was shooting HE. That's hilarious. There's the King Tiger out in the open. There's a shot coming in. We're zooming in. I would have gone looking for shots on the King Tiger. Once you saw him, you could have scooted forward. See if you get there. Right to about here. And you may have got a shot. Potentially also push up and around this building and get a shot over there. You do have to watch in the middle potentially, because they may shoot you in the side in this window. However, another thing to note is the KV-122 has moved up quite a bit, and it looks like nobody's actually in that middle. And oh, by the way, who did we expect to be there? Well, the King Tiger, and he's not there, is he? He's over there on the west side. That's a lot of stuff to take in. I'm not saying I necessarily take all that stuff in every time I'm playing, at least in the heat of the moment, but I do take in as much of it as possible, and I try to make that inform my next move. What I'm going to see out of you here is you're moving in the right direction, but it's very slow on the analysis, so I'll try to touch on those as we go. You're never going to get a shot there. He's underneath that hill. He's not going to uncover, and now we just kind of sit here and we're staring. And we're looking for a shot, and the King Tiger's behind stuff, and we kind of wander, and we just look this way. All right. It was a lot of wasted time. It really was a lot of wasted time. You probably weren't going to get those shots. You actually have a really good force over there on the west side, taking on the Panzer IV and the King Tiger and whatever else is on that side. They kind of fail, but we'll get to that a little while later. You have to assess what's going on right now. That looks like it's taken care of. And you're really not going to get many shots. There's nobody else poking around. The 122 needs help. Now, here's what I'm thinking about in my mind when I'm watching this. I'm like, oh, the King Tiger is on the west side. That means he's not in the middle. That means there can't possibly be that much that's that scary in the middle. You and this KV-122 need to get on it, push straight up the middle, and drive a stake through the middle of their defense right here. So we're going to go this way. And it's one of those, ooh, shiny things, right? Look, red guys. Okay, so, ooh, there's a third red guy. Third red guy. Okay, so we're all zoomed out with our view, and we'll look there, and then we're in, oh my god, where is he? Oh. All right, that's pretty standard, man. New players. camera technique when you're looking for somebody. Instead of zooming in and doing this, zoom out and go, oh, there he is. Move your pipper over to it and then zoom in towards that spot. Then you'd have known much quicker that he's actually behind a building. So you either need to truck up this ramp a little bit more to maybe get one of these windows or potentially open area. And oh, by the way, I think you had a shot on the Panzer IV if you'd just driven up this ramp. Okay? Or go, yeah, I'm not going to get those shots, back out of there and get back to the KV-122. So we just kind of, what are we doing here? Okay. I don't know if you knew that those little sheds can be knocked off of those hard buildings. Good on you if you did. I thought that was a good idea, but he backed out of the way. And really, I'm not seeing any shots here for you, so we back out. And we are 2 minutes into it. One thing about assault is you get 10 minutes, man. That's it, 10 minutes. So every second you waste doing something other than getting in position to shoot, facilitating shots, i.e. spotting or tracking, or doing damage yourself, is bad for your team. So we're going to come in here, we're looking at this guy. That's not bad, you saw him, and even that reaction was a little bit slow, if I'm honest. As soon as you saw him dead, zoom out, look around, truck, right? In your mind, you're going to push up with the 122. So now we have an E25 over there, and they've actually done some work on our team on the other side. They took out two pretty good tanks. They got the EZ-8 and the 3002M, but we have the Tiger, King Tiger out, the Jackson T1 and the Panzer IV-H. All right. Now it's assessment time. What's happened so far? Where's my team? What do I need to do about it? And this is really where a lot of the new players or players who with low stats are trying to get better fall down. Because I liked your initial positioning. I thought your reactions were a bit slow. Those can always be worked on. You just have to start analyzing the map a little bit better. And I think your camera technique has a little bit too much zoom. You spend a little bit too much time kind of just staring into, I'm not exactly sure where. So just try to be a little faster to react to things. But the second biggest part is to analyze what's happened so far and what do I need to do about it. What's happened so far and what do I need to do about it? Take a look at the map and think about that for just a second. The King Tiger's dead. The King is dead. Long live the King. The east side looks okay. They're not really pushing down the east side. The west side is questionable. It's a Super Hellcat, a Valiant, and a Firefly, but it looks okay, right? Looks okay. It won't be in a minute, but we'll get to that. We're talking about the moment right now, this moment in time. You have the KV-122 and yourself in the middle. What would be one of the best ways right now to leverage your position and put some pressure on them to make them react to you? Could you go across the map to the west side? Probably not. There's a BIS over there, 3 artillery. I don't think you get across that open area and get to the E25. That's one of those, I'm a bottom tier heavy. Even the KV-122 would have trouble doing that. No reason to break from this cover. Could you go to the east side, climb up the hill by the windmill and snipe down to their back? Probably the same problem. I don't think you're getting up that hill. Why not use the cover? And I think most people have already come to this conclusion. Why not use the cover, go straight up the middle of these buildings, slowly and carefully, and start looking through the various bushes on the edges of these buildings. There's all kinds of openings and bushes along here, and see if you can't catch somebody out. And then once you get to the end of it, maybe catch somebody back in here. And once they realize you're back in here, that's going to make the rats react a little bit, all right? The cockroaches are going to react. Some of them may come in. You may get shots on guys that are unwisely uncovered in some of these spots back here, but at least investigate it. The reason I think a lot of people in your situation don't do that is because they get overexposed. They go raging in there, and there are a lot of guns left on the map, and they get wiped out. But you can do it carefully, along with your cover of the KV-122, and with map knowledge, knowing that there's so many places to hide and get in here behind buildings, you could really now start leveraging pressure in the back of the map. Let's see what happens. So we push in. I don't know what the KV-122 is shooting at. Maybe you saw something break or a tree go down or something. That was very strange. Maybe shooting into a bush. So we push up here. KV-122 sees you with him. Looks like he's pushing forward a bit. These are the bushes right here I'm talking about, Captain. There's all kinds of them. I would have probably peeked around this corner and just seen if I could see something. Nope, nothing. All right, get out of there. Just keep on trucking. So we come up here. The VC dies. So this is the beginning of the problem that you're going to have on the west side, which you can't know right now. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe you're looking at the mini map, but your view is like straight down and it sits there for a while. I don't know. Maybe you had to get a sip of coffee or whatever. Someone's talking to you. You know, that stuff happens. No big deal. Your camera technique's a little bit odd to me a lot of times. this view of kind of looking down right in front, I'd be looking like this. If I'm going to be idling, I'd do something like this and just idle, just in case something shows up and I can get a snap on it. This view, very unlikely someone's going to be right there in front of you to get a shot. And be honest, you'd have to tell us down in the comments exactly what was going through your mind there, because that one's a little difficult for me to square. So now you push in. Again, where's the threat going to come from? Not this garage or door. It's going to be coming from this way. I'd be pushing in with my turret looking this way, looking for a couple of look at all these openings. These all have bushes and trees right here. You can just tuck yourself into one and kind of take a little look. But for some reason, that's your camera. For some reason, we're just sort of looking off to the left, and then, ooh, we see an opening and we stop. We back. Here comes the 122. And, dude, we are at 6 minutes, right? 4 minutes. We've done no damage, no assist. We've taken one hit, and it took us 4 minutes to move through what was clearly an undefended middle part of the map right here. Now, the E-25 is working over your guys over there, and it's going to turn out that a good number of their tanks went that way. You can't know that right now, so we'll let that go. But I think this is the right move right here, but I would push up to the bushes and just take a look. People just shooting into there. I don't know if maybe an arty shot out and there was a counter attempt or what happened right there. E-25's breaking through. So if you notice that on the mini-map, now you kind of got a decision. All right, what are we going to do here? It was looking good. I think it was the right move to work through the middle. You were slow doing it. The reason that's important is you only have so many minutes in the game. And if you guys had moved forward earlier and probably further, you may have either stirred up, got a few kills, potentially, and stopped the E-25 from maybe pushing into the back, or you'd have known that there was nothing there a minute ago, and your reaction potentially to the E-25 and the push to the back would have been faster. So really, it's just a timing thing. The more time you waste doing nothing, the more time you give the enemy to take hit points from your team. This game is all about time and hit points. How much time do I have? How fast do I take the enemy hit points? How do I leverage that advantage? How do I react to a disadvantage from there? So we come around here. Not really sure. Again, I'm not really sure why we're doing this. This really, for the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's hard to determine what the point of the movements are. So we kind of look. Now that's okay. That at least is looking for somebody maybe in these buildings. We find somebody up in the northwest corner. I would have spun around and seen if I could get a light on that guy. Just turn around and look. Oh, look at that. There's an opening. Now, it doesn't look like you can get a shot, but you don't even really investigate it. Maybe you were thinking about it here and then he went dark. It looks like you were finally starting to spin, but he went dark. So the KV-122 is sitting there. Now we kind of drive around. We do a little pirouette. And we have 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And we start heading back. When I watched this the first time, I went, okay, I don't know. There's 2 or 3 pushing into the back. There's the E-25. We're sort of sitting here. Might have been a time to push into their backfield and start leveraging your AT-8, your Cavalier, your E-25, your 122, and you. There are some campers back there. The RBFM got the E-25, so at least there's an RBFM and there's 3 arty. Not that arty are ever anything but campers. And then we start heading back. I was a little bit torn on this, to be quite honest. I don't know if you should have really even worried about it. I think potentially you could have pushed into their guys near the cap, but you don't really know where everybody is, so that may have been a recipe for disaster. What I will say for those of you who think that slow tanks like a KV-1 can't get back, oh, I can't get back because I'm too slow, just watch what happens here. There's really not that much time left in the battle. As far as looking at it, you might go, 3 minutes and 30 seconds isn't much time, but look how far he gets. Now just watch. He's going to get all the way back here. KV-122 is still sitting in there. We find the Panzer 43. Holy cow, we didn't know he was there, so he moved up and we hit the rock right there. So he got back. There's also a 3002 back here. All right. Let's talk the mechanics of this engagement real quick. You're going to take a shot and then you're going to move, which I think is not a bad idea. Take a look at your angling here. Little over-angled. Not bad, but maybe a little over-angled. We're going to back up. They fixed our angle. That was nice. We take a hit, and then we're backing out. So try not to stop with obstructions right in front of your view, if at all possible. then you wouldn't have had to do that last move. Did you guys see how big the dispersion went when it moved? This thing has terrible soft stats on its gun. When it moves or turns its turret, the bloom just becomes gigantic. You see how relatively tight it was, and then it just explodes here. Gets a little bit lucky with that shot, but hey, RNG helps. I would just stand in. You need him to go away. A little too much kind of dancing and jiggling right there. I know what you're doing, and I think it's not a bad technique, but with this tank and gun, you needed to stand in and just get rid of this guy. But you got her done. 3002 moves in. We get kind of a similar technique here as well, and we're also going to run into, I didn't mention it, but your zoom use, which I do appreciate, was perhaps a little too close on these engagements. I think it would have stopped a while ago on this one, man, and seen if I had a shot, because you did. You've been reloaded for a while. Back here somewhere, you needed to stop and investigate whether you had that highlight. The other thing I'll do when I'm moving in to find out is just try to put the pipper on him and see if I get one. Now, sometimes when the camera angle is higher, you actually don't have a shot. You can highlight it because of the look angle, and when you zoom in, you lose it. But look at this. You had this guy. So we should have been shooting him a while ago. That's the time thing, right? I am always, always, always looking for a shot when I'm reloaded. And it just takes... All right, so here's the zoom thing I was talking about. Holy cow. Notice, because you're zoomed in so much, every time he moves from right to left, you have to keep shifting. Like, he'll drive through your pipper, and you're like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So what I do here is I'll zoom out at least a little bit and go, hey, a couple things. Number one, let me get out and lead so I'm ready for him when I reload. Number two, is there any obstructions coming up that I can see that I need to work around? Do I need to try to get that shot before he gets behind a big building? Well, the only first building I can really see is this one, so I got a while. I may even get 2 shots in here. But look at this, like, oh, ooh, ooh, ooh. All right, so you got it done. One of the reasons is decent enough shell velocity, and he was relatively close. But I think, like I said, I'd have been leading this guy a little bit and let him walk into my shot. One thing I will caution on that, people will randomly stop for lots of reasons, and you'll shoot in front of them. So just be careful. This one did not require lead fire in that it was in front of where he was, but at his front sprocket would have been a great aim point. And if you had the pipper out in front, then just let it come to the front sprocket and then fire. No problem right there. But I think he could have been dead 15, 20 seconds ago, based on the driving you did. But we get him dead, and that's a good thing. And we got 2 minutes. Remember what I said about, hey, I'm too slow, I can't go back. You might think, well, this is over. It's a KV1. He's too slow. He's got only 2 minutes. Well, let's watch this. We're going to speed it up because you don't really need to watch the whole drive. We got guys pushing in, trying to take their artillery down. There they go. Look at this. Drive, 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 man. Holy cow. 46 seconds and we show up right here and we got this TD out in the open, and things should be absolutely glorious. But we make this a little more exciting than we need to. That's a good shot. Okay, no problem there. I'm trying to figure out what we're trying to shoot at here. If we're trying to track him, that's too low. Be very careful with these shots because the hole ends, right? The hole only goes so far. It's not on the ground. That's just tracks. If you want to track him, you want this wheel. As a matter of fact, if you get it right about here, you're going to get track end damage because there's hole behind that sprocket back there, that drive wheel. Actually, that's not the unknown. I think that's the drive wheel, right? Because the engine's back here, I'm pretty sure. Don't know what the thing is. But anyway, the front or the back. Going for the front's problematic because a lot of times these wheels are forward of any hitbox, and at this angle where he's angling away, you have it's more likely you're going to go through nothing once you go through the wheel. So when you're looking for a tracking shot, try to get a shot that also has hole behind it for damage, so you get a track and damage. And I think on this particular tank right now, your shot needs to be right there. And I don't know why we're aiming so low. We actually got that, I think. Did we actually do damage? No, I think we just tracked that. I have to go back. But in any event, you're just aiming way too low. This is also this is also the zoom in, man. Holy cow. We only need about this much zoom. That way we can see him move. See how disorienting it is when you're zoomed in that far? Like, oh my goodness, what just happened? And we got a critical, no damage. He dives down there. And we don't have time to kind of sit there and aim in. Just get moving. Just get moving. Go after this dude. The ATH trying to rage in and maybe get a shot before the game is over. We come on in here. We get that shot and fire and dead. The AT-8 actually took the last couple hit points from him. So nicely done right there. We get 1 kill, 913 damage, 727 assist. A little bit of heroics at the end. But every time I see heroics at the end, I always wonder, how did we get there? Why did we need heroics? Was there something we could have done better earlier to take more hit points off of the board? You really didn't get going with your 900 damage until 2/3 of the game was over, and it required kind of heroics. Like I said, going back, I don't know if I would have necessarily done that. I think you probably could have beat the guys near the cap and then dealt with them coming back. But you know what? You got back there while the RD was still alive in the RBFM for a while, and you took those guys out, and then you came all the way back. So as far as giving it the old college try and executing it well, that was really nicely done. But I think if you back it up to the beginning of this game, there were a lot of things you could have done much better. And I gave you examples, hopefully, for each one of those along the way on the timing of doing the things needed to speed up, a little bit more awareness of what was going on around you, a little bit, I'm going to say a little bit more aggression in pushing forward, which had a lot to do with reading the map and the situation and the match as the match unfolded. Based on what we were talking about in the middle, getting up into the middle there, trying to find out what's going on, and maybe pushing into the back a little bit. That would have been, you need to be careful. I know there were a lot of tanks unspotted, but I think a little bit more aggression by you in the KV-122 may have forced matters a bit more quickly, and you might have been able to clean up some of those guys back there. But as it was, nice job going back and dealing with the guys in your backfield back there. Oftentimes on this, especially this particular map, when the enemy team pushes through and gets into your backfield, it doesn't really matter if you can put 3 guys on cap and clear off their cap and you've killed their artillery along the way. A lot of times they can't really get back, or at least not effectively, to do anything. Still, though, ends up being a win, and I hope some of those points to ponder and some of that information helps you out right there on your journey to getting better at the game. I like the KV-1. It's a fun little heavy tank, and it's actually, despite talking about how heavy tanks are the hardest low tier, it's actually one of the better low tier heavies out there. Just the gun's pretty good. The armor's okay. You got a couple bounces in there. Well, one at 110. So fun little tank. All right, man. I hope that helped. For everybody else, thanks for coming by. If you like what you saw and learned something, throw me a subscribe. That's all I've got for today. We will see ya.